I've added signal delay add-on. So we'll see how annoying that is. So how that works, my understanding, is that if you have an unmanned ship, when you send commands to it, it is delayed. So like you say, you know, cut your engines, and then it will be some delay before it actually cuts your engines. So you have to, like, I guess, plan ahead. So we'll have to see how that works. Anyway, so let's pop into where we left off. So we were working on, we did a bunch of different science stuff. Let's load up Eureka2. This is the one that we're going to do another test real quick before we put any people inside of it, because we did a couple changes. We removed some of the fuel tanks to hopefully make it take off right away. We also added in some struts, and there's something else important that we did as well. And so that's done. Whatever it was. Oh, we added landing legs that aren't actually going to reach all the way down when we land, but maybe it'll help us from rolling, is the idea. We'll see. So let's test out the Eureka2 with no people inside of it. No people. Get out. And launch. So again, signal delay. So I have no idea how big of a delay that really will be. I think around, what is this? Can I move this? Okay, these things are fine. You're not fine. How do I... You're obnoxious. How do I... Configure visible tool buttons. Okay. That's fine. What I want to know is, how do I move you? How do I move you? Oh, wait, okay. Unlock position and size. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, that's a ticket. Let's put you up here, I guess. No, let's put you right here. Okay, perfect. And now we can do lock. Okay, great. Where were we? So signal delay, staging should be fine. Throttle up and go. So there's no delay, and I took off right away. Look at that. Already success. So I believe with this ship we want to wait until the outside engines finish off before we do any banking. I think last time I did that, it was a little sketchy with having, I mean, it didn't blow anything up of the, you know, the rocket that I wanted to keep around, but it was close. There was a lot of explosions right next to my ship as the things collided with each other because I was going on an angle. So I think I will try to just go straight up while these are on there, and then I'll ditch them yeah, at that point. So this extra thing came along with the signal delay. Oh, there's a delay. Oh, right here. If I want to know where the delay is, that lets me know where the delay is. There we go. So I can try to plan my maneuvers with that delay in mind, if it's an unmanned ship, which this one is. Okay, so we actually are going quite a bit higher than I'd hope before I start doing any banking. But I don't want to have these engines run into me, so oh well. Okay, so once those clear, now we will work on our banking. And we're not really going to necessarily go into full orbit, although I'm kind of curious how much fuel I'll have after an orbit. So I may try it out. This delay sounds like it could make things... Yes. I also was looking at... There's also a like a health... making kerbals have health, but it doesn't... I have life support, and this thing doesn't quite interact with that. And in fact, it seems like it's... I mean, it's a more severe add-on, it seems. Like, there's a lot more factors for, like... Can they call back home? Are they with other people? Are they too crowded? You know, do they get the cold? Do they pass the cold to somebody else that's on the ship? So there's interesting stuff, but it doesn't really interact with life support, which is, you know, one of the main ones that I have on. So I decided not to add that one. But okay, so we are in space-ish. Let's kill the engines. Let's take a look. Oh, you're here now. That's great. I mean, I guess I understand why it would be different between... Okay, so let's take a look. So let's go ahead and make a... let's do an orbit. Just so we can... I don't want to waste too much time, but I also am curious... Because in theory, I would like to take this thing to the moon. And do an orbit there. So I want to make sure that there's enough... enough fuel for that sort of thing. I have these big tanks here, and they're, you know, they're more than half full right now. So, and the burn... Actually, the burn's bad. It's long. The burn is long, considering... but it's because I didn't arc earlier, so I could try and arc earlier without people inside of it, so to see if it would blow up. And I want to burn in about 4 seconds. And go. That's a pretty long burn to try and get into an orbit. We do have one more engine inside the middle thing. Just one tank and then one not as big of an engine, just to try and do some last minute stuff. So even if these other ones run out, this one might be able to get us back from the moon, possibly, even. We'll see. Also, as a... so this guy is also the Solar Bat 1. Bob is up there doing science as we speak right now. He's processing some different information in the lab. I decided not to speed it up, like, all the way through his whole adventure. Like, I just did enough to get some science to move on. But he's still up there doing some science. Like a champ. Okay, so we are using quite a bit of our fuel because we didn't do the thing. Is orbiting to do science. Yeah. So I figure he's still doing science in the science thing, and he has a bunch of food with his life support. But I didn't want to just have it like run forever and then have it complete all the science. I wanted to sort of let it run some so that we get some science, get a new part, but then move on from there. Okay, so we're now in an orbit. And our orbit's good. Okay, so we don't have a lot of fuel left. But let's go ahead and do a maneuver just to see how much fuel it would take to get to the moon. Or we try to see if we can bank earlier and make it better. So this is our target. We would like to... And this thing, I mean, we don't have to worry about getting it back, really. So, okay, so here's an encounter. It's a fairly short burn. Okay, let's do that. So, encounter, maneuver node. The burn will start at 21. Science! Welcome to Puka. We're doing an unmanned just to test it out. I added in signal delay. Right now we're close enough that there's no delay. But in theory, as you get further out, then there'll be more of a delay. I also don't have the antenna open, so I should do that. Once it stops moving. Because it's going to be hard to right-click on just the antenna from here. Does that? No, that wasn't it. Nope. Well, and eventually we'll get to the maneuver node, and then it'll stop moving. No. Yes, extend antenna. Okay, there we go. Now we have more range. Although I think we can get to the moon and back and not have any problems with that. But also, in this one, the antenna, when extended, will actually use battery. It'll use electrical charge. Although we have enough solar panels in this that we're fine. But it's to do extra stuff. When it's extended, it'll actually use up more charge. Okay, so we're going to do the burn at 21. So let's warp to the next. Let's warp closer to it. And then we'll speed up a little bit. Okay, I still have no delay. We're still good. So 21. And burn. So our fuel tanks are running low. so this is fairly close. I'm going to actually kill it and kind of fine-tune it. So once we get an encounter, then I'll kill it. Okay, encounter, and then we're coming back this direction. Okay. To the moon! Yes, unmanned. I want to see... Alright, so this is going to the moon, running past it, and then the idea is once we actually get out here, I want to see if I can get back with this ship, to see if that's possible. So we want to speed up to here. I don't think I'll be able to do any science here, but... Alright, so as we head out, we can also check out the delay. See what the delay is going to be like. So we have a slight delay, so it's not real bad. It's not actually too far away from us, so... A little bit of a delay. So it'll be about a 1 second delay, it looks like, give or take. All right, so we are here. I don't think we can do any science really, but let's double check. So this stuff in here, if I open up the doors with these engines on here. That's something to test. Okay, so what happens if I open up the doors? Okay, it's apparently... Oh, I guess they're not really close enough, but, you know, it acts like there is. Oh, and... Hold on. There we go. And now I can actually see. I'm assuming I can't do anything with this. So a tiny bit. Sure, we'll keep it. Yeah. And then we should have goo canisters. A tiny bit, sure. And then barometer. Nothing. Okay, whatever. Who cares? Let's close these doors. And I think that'll be it. Okay, so now let's see. So we'll do the encounter. And then we'll see if we can get this back. And then we'll test takeoff with doing a gravity turn sooner and seeing if those engines blow up in our face before we get any people on this thing. Oh, what I said 1 second delay, I guess it's actually 0.1 second delay. So, not too bad. Alright, so now what we want to do is here. So we did our science with our people. That we're going to hang out in space and then work on the science. And then to get back, oh, by the way, we would want to adjust this to be lower. So, like this. Okay. So then that is what we would do for the burn. It's only a 3-second burn, so that looks like we'll have enough fuel to do it. It'll switch engines probably before we actually get it, but let's point to the maneuver node. It'll switch engines, so the other ones won't be as good, but there's not much of a burn at all to make this happen. So it looks like we can do this with people, even without doing a gravity turn early, probably. Let's warp to the next maneuver node. I'm doing this a little bit fast, just because I want to have enough time in the stream to send out people and do some science. So let's fast forward to like a 1.5 seconds. And burn. Okay, so what do we end up with? Okay, good. So we ended up with good. That's good. I like that. Now we want to ditch these engines. That's weird. What were all those lines? I think everything's okay, right? Everything's good? Oh, there's something in front of it that spooked me. Anyway, so we're still good on our approach. When I ditch the next part of this, it will let me think. When I ditch the next part of this, it's going to, yeah, it's pretty low far. It's going to adjust our orbit a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get closer. Actually, let's... What I wanted to say is I wanted to warp to there. So let's just warp 2 closer. So the idea is we do some science while we're up here anyway for a while. And then eventually we would... yeah, much better than explosions, right? Right. So we want to get a little closer, and then we're going to burn... Which one was it? We burn a retrograde. I think that will decrease our orbit over here. So let's get a little bit closer, actually. I'll just run into Bob. Oh, we're on a different plane. Okay, we're fine. So we're going to get here. We want to point retrograde, I think, and then burn. And let's burn a little bit and take a look at our engines. We'll have to switch. We'll have to turn on the engines, I think. But let's double check. So we're trying to get that closer, so we don't have to do as many loops and waste a bunch of time. So we're going to do that, and then right, it doesn't do anything. So pop into here, start the engines. Pop into the map, burn a little bit. So this one is going down some, and this one's going down more. So we don't want this one to go down too much. But we want to decrease the other side. And there's some other spot you could point to make this change more. Spectre was telling me about it, but I forgot. So we'll just do this. We're just trying to reduce the amount of laps we might have to do. He wanted me to burn closer to that spot, but I'm not as fancy with that as he might be. Okay, so that's pretty low. We could try some of these other things, but let's just go with that. Try that. So we're going to point prograde, ditch the engines behind us, which is actually going to probably increase our orbit a tiny bit. And then we will point retrograde and then re-enter and hope everything works. Test that our landing legs. Probably land in water, so who knows. So mainly, as long as we're not pointing retrograde, we can ditch these. So I think we're about to point prograde. And then we can ditch these engines. Or engine, rather. Okay, goodbye. So now we want to point retrograde. Actually, wait till that clears a little bit more. Because where the middle is, it seems like last time I did that, this thing like almost came around and whipped and hit the stuff. So there's our food and our one engine. It's going away. So we have enough food in here still. I mean, there's no people, but oh, that's cool. This thing pulls up. Okay, so Bob still has 13 years left of food. He's doing his science. Let's point retrograde. And so this thing, in case you missed the last episode, in theory, this thing here will generate Eurekas, and then this thing here, somewhere in here, this thing, is a plant experiment thing which will let us use Eurekas to work on plants, work on botany stuff. Let's go ahead and head in. I'm glad you don't have this pesky thing called money. Right, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about playing it with that, but I figured throwing in all the extra complexities might be enough. Okay, so now let's see what burns off. So I have landing legs I've added on. We'll see if they stick out too much. Oh, and I don't have an antenna. My antenna is out. Okay, I think my antenna just broke off. Yep, it's broken. So I didn't retract the antenna. So I might not be able to control this at all. Like he might be on its own. I don't know if I can deploy parachutes with the antenna being broken. It generates, yeah, Eureka's is like its own little science-related, not currency, but amount of units of something. So we'll see. And because the antenna's gone, it's possible that this thing I won't be able to control it at all. It seems like it has a charge. I don't know why it's not really staying on course, or maybe it is. I don't know why it's not pointing towards this. That's weird. I'm gonna blame the antenna. We'll see. We'll see if this lands, and then we'll see if I can deploy the landing legs, and see if they help at all. If it's a water landing, it doesn't. It's irrelevant. But okay, so nothing burned off. Awesome. Once all the fire goes away, we will put out the landing legs. Extend. Oh, they have cool sound effects. I think that's new. I think that's with an add-on. or I've never really done it within the atmosphere, so there's actually sound here. Maybe that's actually a factor. I'm not sure. But they don't extend all the way down. So it's really just like to try and help me not tip as much, maybe, or not roll around as much. Because I couldn't really attach them onto here with it seeming appropriate. And what are we landing in? Oh, on ground. Good. This will be a good test. I can't see anything, but it'll be a good test. So despite having no antenna, or maybe it's just broken, it's not as effective. I don't know. Because there's the little line, so maybe it still works even though it's broken. Okay, heading down. Because there's no shadow, so it's hard to see exactly where I'll be landing. But I think we could turn off SAS. Oh, okay, yeah. So this confirms I don't have any. Oh no, I do. Why couldn't I click it? Huh. Okay, apparently I can't click on that to turn on SAS. I thought I could. Okay, whatever. All right, let's zoom out so we can see when the ground is. This is no shadow. So we could do one more test just for takeoff to see if we were able to do our gravity turn earlier with those engines still on. So I think we'll do that. So approaching land. Okay. Yeah, it has, yeah. Okay, so it's on an incline, which is good. It's a good test for the landing legs. So it is going to tip over, it looks like. And nothing broke. And I think that it's perhaps not rolling as much because we have the landing legs. I don't know. Good enough. I appreciate it. That sounds good. Okay. And then I guess, in case this is a new area. All right, anyway, I figured that would happen. Oh, okay, there goes something. I think landing leg. I think we're fine. Goo. Is this a new? No. Okay, not new. All right, let's go back. So we got a little bit of science actually from all that. We learned that our landing legs don't help us at all. That's good. Let's go back into here. Same ship, no people. We want to test the gravity turn. So, SAS on, throttle up, and go. So once we get up to 10,000 meters, we will work on our gravity turn. And we'll see once we actually ditch these other engines if they explode everything. I think possibly it might be an issue with, depending on where this is, the circle behind the dot. If they're lined up, then maybe it'll work better. If they're not lined up, then that might be when it actually explodes in my face. I could also not ditch those. I mean, they're heavy stuff, but they're also empty. So I could also hold on to them for a little bit until I get further out. We'll see. We'll try ditching them right away. Try that first. I wasn't watching. Okay, good. I wasn't watching. Okay, so now we're gonna start doing our gravity turn. The control's great. This is a pretty good ship. I've learned my lesson about making it too tall. It was being very wobbly before my previous versions. Okay, so what I'll do is, once they actually line up with each other, the dots, then I will ditch these other engines. See if that helps. You're gonna line up? No? Okay, we're gonna ditch them. Okay, perfect. So let's see if it seems like we have more fuel once we get out there. I'm guessing we will. We'll see. This does seem very stable. Yeah. Yeah, no more we. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is good. It's working on its gravity turn more as we go up, which is better fuel efficiency if we're trying to get an orbit around there. So I like it. So we're going to go ahead and pop in here. Okay, so I can't quite go back to the Space Center yet. I think I'm happy with this. So I would like to go back to the Space Center. Let's go up. Okay, we're in space, and that thing will land somewhere in Michigan. Okay, so let's pop in here. So Eureka2 with people. So we want a pilot, and we want 2 scientists to work on stuff. They're gonna hang out up here. They could really start down here, but just in case, I guess I'm gonna keep them inside the main pod there. And go to lunch. Okay. SAS on. Throttle up. And go. My joke about Digibonds, in case you're wondering, about landing in Michigan is that I guess last I heard at least, that there's an old Chinese space station that's supposed to crash land possibly in Michigan is the highest odds, but they don't really know where it's going to go. So most of it's going to burn up in the atmosphere, I guess, and then some portion of it with maybe bad chemicals will land somewhere in Michigan. Lower Michigan, I think they specified. So at least the motherland is okay, even if my backyard isn't. Yeah, I don't know much. I haven't looked at it recently, but yeah, it's pretty bad. I think that, with my experience, my vast experience of space and orbits and stuff based on Kerbal Space Program, it seems like they should be able to shoot it down with a missile. I can't really do that in Kerbal Space Program, but I feel like they could deflect it or make it fall sooner and kill like whales and stuff instead of people in Michigan. Let's keep Michigan safe, yeah. All right. Well, it'll just be like Fallout by the time you move here. All right. So we're slightly off where I want to be. There we go. So our orbit might not be perfect. All right. So now, what I'm going to do is try and get them to be closer together. All right. That's good. Probably. Okay. They're coming together. I have people now, so I'm being a little bit more careful. And go. Okay, everything's great. Let's work on a gravity turn. So we'll hang out here. Wait for this to get up. Then there's the thing we just tried. It'll crash down in a while. So I think this is more efficient the way I'm doing this. I might be going too steep. possible. I mean, this is still going up, but not very fast. Let's point here. Let's see if that'll help. I forget exactly where on this thing I want to point. I'm doing the gravity turn. But we still have quite a bit of fuel. So I think we're doing pretty good. Pretty soon, not soon actually, but in a little while, this will end up like starting an orbit. So it's not like we're gonna necessarily have a maneuver and then work on an orbit, although we'll probably fix it up. But this thing, just our burn right now, is working towards an orbit, I think. I think this is efficient. And then even more efficient, it's not necessarily even going into an orbit. Oh, it looks like the other one has crashed down somewhere. But actually, like, taking off at the proper time and just going up, and then doing a little bit of an arc, and then, like, so not actually getting in an orbit, but just, like, then launching off or something towards the moon in the right spot. But, alright, so then now I could kill this, add a maneuver. I want to make sure that was still stable. Good. So that'll be a much shorter burn. So that's good. Put to maneuver. So I think we had more fuel at the end of this, maybe, than we did the last one. I think we'll have enough fuel to get back. Mission is a go. So 24 and a half we will burn. And there's no delay because we have people on board. Pretty cool add-on. We have enough life support on this thing for, actually not as long as I thought. That's interesting. I guess because there's 3 of them. Okay, that makes sense. So, not a full year or whatever. So I'll have to keep that in mind. Okay, and what is it, 24 and a half or something. And go. So we've got to do an orbit, and then aim for the moon. Aim for the moon. Yeah. Okay. Now, probably on this side, but I guess it depends on where the moon is. We're going to adjust our orbit. Set this guy's target. So we have a little bit of an angle issue. Ooh, by a bit. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, let's see if we can still make it work. We might not have to adjust our orbit. It might be close enough. So that's where it is now. But so we want to do that. So it's going to be a fairly short burn. That'll get us into an encounter. We can grab some science from it. And then when we come back, this thing will be... Which one is which? So that's what we currently are at that one. So it'll be a little bit, it'll be far enough away where we'll be able to get back into Kerbin. And it should be okay. Eventually, actually, I guess we might re-encounter the moon by chance over there. We'll see. Depending on how much fuel we have, we could actually orbit the moon maybe and then come back. We'll see. I'll say we'll see it one more time. We'll see. Okay. So we'll point there. We'll burn at 21 and a half. once we get to the maneuver. And the time. 21.5 before. I think we can do. I think we'll probably do a moon orbit, because I don't know if that'll help us with our science or not. I think we'll be safe enough to do that. Okay. So now we want to get to the maneuver. So warp to next maneuver. To 21.5. Actually, while we're here, let's cancel that. While we're here, we could probably do a little bit of stuff. Let's do a crew report. No, that's transfer crew. Let's do a crew report. So probably nothing. We'll keep it. We might be able to do something with that later. I still feel like opening up these doors is a bad idea. It seemed like it was okay with it last time, but we can do the temperature at least. But it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. Technically, I shouldn't be able to open those doors, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, so we want to get to the maneuver. $21.5. Because I may be able to process that same data in the science thing, maybe. We'll probably first play with this new thing and see how that works. Before we do the other one, maybe. Or we'll do both. I guess we have two scientists. So 21.5. And burn. So I think we'll still have those engines after this maneuver. Once we get stuff near the moon, there's very little we have to do to really make things happen. So this is kind of the more expensive part of the process. The next part's not too bad. Okay. So we're going to kill the engines and go slower. Just so I get an encounter. And don't waste too much extra. Alright, so that's good. I guess we'll go with what we were going to do. Okay. So now we still have a tiny bit in those engines. Let's get to the moon encounter. Warp here. Yep. Okay. What is our orbit? So that is all we have to work with. Okay. So then let's adjust this. Is this better? No. That seems like it's worse. Okay, so we're going to go this way. Oop, we're going to go less that way. So that is a... it's a fairly short burn. Let's see if we can make it a little bit shorter. That doesn't really impact it at all. Oh, it's actually... Oh, I see. Okay. So we could do an odd-looking orbit like that, and that'll be a little cheaper. Okay. So let's do that. We'll probably have to switch engines, but we'll make this work. So point to the maneuver node. I still feel like we'll be able to get back. Very little change up here by the moon is enough to... and we still have this whole engine. This whole fuel tank, so... I don't know if we have enough solar panels to do all the science we want, but we'll get there. Okay, so now we want to get down to 11.5. So let's warp to the next maneuver. Okay. 11.5. Okay, and a burn. Keep going. There we go. Switch engines. So now it's a longer burn. So if we get any sort of orbit of the moon, we'll keep it. Yeah, this is also a weaker engine. It'll burn less fuel. I still think we're okay. I apologize if we're not okay. I'm sorry, everybody. But I think we'll be okay. Alright, let's take a look at the map. Oh, interesting. We're still okay. We're fine. We're now in orbit of the moon. Okay. Let's pop into here. Let's transfer some crew. So we want to say, you guys, transfer crew. Scientist, please go into the science building. And you, scientist, please go into the other science building, which is this thing. Alright, so now we might be generating Eurekas and be able to process some science. So let's do crew report. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to add that to the science building. And then we want to open up these doors. Also do this thermometer, lock temperature. Put that in the science building. We're going to do observe the materials bay. Store that inside of the science lab. This thing, goo canister, into the science lab. Barometer. Log it. Science lab. Close the doors. Okay. And then, so there's that. Then this thing is a research thing. It's as inactive. So we want to activate research in this thing. Eureka's full. Okay, I don't know what that means. Then we also want to come over here, and we want this thing, which has a bunch of data. This thing can we want to turn on life support, I guess. And we also want to start researching. Where's the button? There we go. Start researching. So this thing will slowly generate science. I can put more people in there to make it go a little faster. This thing, I don't understand what it's doing. So maybe what we need to do is, now that we have that lab, we will come over to this plant thing, and we will start an experiment. So we have started an experiment. It has 0 of 50 Eurekas. This thing is running science. Okay, Eurekas are 0.01 of 50. Okay, so it's working. He's working on a plant science experiment very slowly, but it's also very slowly. This thing, does this thing have life support? Is that a, I don't think it's on this. No, this thing just, you assume it. Okay, let's make sure that everybody has, it's interesting that it has more life support now that I've turned on that building, I guess. I don't know why it's more than it was earlier, but that's good. Okay, and now, oh, we can EVA and also do some more science with that. So let's do, while they're working on their science, please EVA. And then, right, there you go. We want you to EVA, report, keep it, board, and then we want to review that and store that in the lab. So now the lab has more stuff to work on. The rate is even higher and there's more data to work on. So if this whole Eureka thing doesn't really work out, if that seems silly, then we can move that scientist into here and make this go faster, because they don't have forever to do it. Okay, so this thing is slowly getting Eurekas. We'll see what that does. Our orbit is stable, and we have, I think, enough fuel to get back. And how's our charge? So our charge is actually good. So we're currently in the sun, and we are not using up more than we're generating, so that's good. Once we are, at some point we're not in the sun, we can see how, if it is able to keep it up. Let's go to, which one's which? I can't tell who's in which one. I'm curious what it looks like. Okay, so this is inside of possibly that one lab. So this is a thing where they can just like hang out, food, not food, and they're able to do their sciencey stuff. I think it's, I don't know which, I'm assuming this is that one lab. I don't know how to get out of this view, actually. I made a mistake. Kerbal Space Program, how to exit first person view. V, maybe. Oh. 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 What did I miss? BSM has been here labeling chess. Oh, what? Right click. No, that's EVA. That's not helping me. When I go first person, outside view of the cockpit, I don't know how to get back. See? Okay, there we go. I figured it out. See. Okay. So I wanted to also see this guy. So this guy, view. So this is what he sees. Oh, I see. The other button I had, V, was look between the views. So this is the regular science building, I think. Okay. Yeah. All right. So C. Now we're back out here again. So what we need to do is speed up time, and I want to see what happens when this thing gets enough Eurekas. So I don't know how fast I can go out here, given my. So if you go in the map view, so I don't know if it's going to slow down when it gets closer to over there. No, not really. Okay, so we can go pretty fast actually. So let's get this thing full, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's full. And in terms of time that has passed, that was like 20, or it was 5 days. So 5 days have passed. They've have enough Eurekas that we click on final results. Also, we were generating some science in here. So this thing has almost 10 science. And then also at the same time, Bob, I'm assuming when I fast forward time here, it also does it over there. Bob is also researching Earth orbit related stuff. So we're getting a bunch of science. Let's look at the final results. So we have, wow. So we have 100 science if we bring it back. We can also take all that science, drop it into the lab, and process all that. That would be, that sounds pretty awesome. So let's do that. So we did that. Now what I want to know, so that thing's disabled. Can we clean experiments? I'm assuming we can't just repeat the same process. Like I feel like the plants in space above the moon in orbit is, you know, an experiment that we can't repeat, but we'll see. No time moves at different speeds when you fast forward. What? Time travel. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, possible. I don't know. We could actually test that if we wanted to, but we'll start this first. So it's cleaning the goo. Now it's cleaning the plant growth thing. I want to see if I can repeat the same experiment and see what happens. But in the meantime, if we take a look at this, now this thing has a lot more data, which means it's a faster rate, so we'll get more science. So we'll get a lot of science from this particular trip, which will get more components, and then we can try and do some different things. So that's all done. So this thing is now, we can start an experiment. And now let's get some more, let's fill this thing back up, and I'm curious to find out if we can, like what happens, is if it's going to say the same experiment as before or not. So final results. So it thinks at least Although I can't. That's interesting. So I can't put that inside the science thing because it already has that stuff. But we'll say keep it. Maybe we'll be able to return with that. Okay. All right. So now we're done with Eureka's. I don't have anything else attached that will be for that. So we can stop researching that. We can transfer crew. Actually, let's look at this first. So this is a rate of 3.5 per science per day, roughly. So let's transfer this crew into here. And now this is 7.0. So we can get a lot of science, 2 scientists, lots of data to process. Oh, yeah. So now, how's our time? Okay, so we have a little bit of time left. So we can see, so this thing will, how's our charge? Does this ever go down? Because we're so far away from Kerbin, there's not a lot of opportunity for the sun to be blocked, I think. So we probably are going to be okay with the electrical charge. Yeah, so that doesn't really ever change. This thing will keep on filling up. We can speed up time. We can look at the electrical charge. Yeah, so there's a brief thing where it moves a tiny bit. When the mun is blocking the view. So we get a bunch of science here. The other thing I want to check. You've been listening. Acting for this episode. Oh, yeah, cool. Cool. I'm glad that that all worked out for your episode. So we have a bunch of science here. I think we'll go. Let's go to 200. We'll transfer that back. We still want to check on these guys, and I don't know if I have even more scientists or not. But we can see what other things we can unlock and then go from there. So let's get 200, and then we'll go back to researching to see what sort of things we can get from it. Okay, so now we have 200. Let's go to regular time. We'll go ahead and do transfer science. So I'm assuming we'll have enough battery power, but we'll see. So transfer science. Yeah, it looks like we'll be okay. I know that transferring a science takes up a bunch of battery, which I had problems with in a whole previous thing before. But I think that this one I'm being okay. So let's watch it. Trying to get it. Yeah, awesome, cool. I hope that, were you demonetized? Did you get hit by that? I mean, at the very least, it'll still be awesome, but it's a shame that YouTube is a punk. Yeah, so we are. I mean, so even if this was not, if I didn't have enough battery power, I could stop researching while I'm doing this, and that might help with some of the battery. But or like turn off life support, and then and stop researching and stuff. But it looks like we're doing okay. And when once this thing actually gets back, then we'll have quite a bit of stuff. So it's done doing that. One thing we actually can do, actually, this probably won't really give us anything because we've already done this science. Yeah, so we could do another. We can keep it though. So let's close those doors. Observe the goo. Was only getting. Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I guess you're. I was thinking more along the lines of your. Well, that's nothing. Okay, whatever. The Hermitcraft stuff. I think you got more people watching that. I was curious. Okay, so we have all that stuff. It's good. I want to. While I'm here, I'll do an EVA. I don't know if this will actually give me anything, but we can do an EVA report. Yeah, so it'll be 16 science, which actually we could transfer right away. And not worry about bringing it back. Let's do that. We have to go inside. And then we can review, store reports, transmit. Okay, awesome. So, these guys are going to hang out here and do some science. Gotcha, okay. So that's going. Next thing we want to do is let's take a look at Science Bat. Switch to. So while we sped up time on the other thing, did this guy get a bunch of science? So not a lot, but the rate is much worse over here because it has less data and only one person working on it. So now we can also transmit this science. So Bob, good job, Bob. You did some sciencey things. It's interesting. It says, oh, I see, because I don't have a pilot up there, and so there's actually a delay. Huh. Okay. So right now it's a robot controlled ship. Okay, so that's all done. Let's go to the Space Center. We probably have lots of science. Yeah, we have quite a bit of science we can play around with. So let's see what toys we have. Yeah, good job, Bob. So, a couple things I was looking at. I mean, eventually I want to get to these solar panels. So we could head down some of the solar path. We could also work on docking things. Not today, but, you know, in general. Docking things, or we could also throw on a mainsail so we have some more like lots of power in the beginning. Try and get off the ground and do stuff like that. So this might be fun to play with. It's a pretty crazy engine. So if we want to do that, that would be... so we could grab some more science if we want to, because two of those together, we wouldn't have enough, if I'm doing the math right. Or we'd have two of these. Can we get two of these things? 1, 2, 3. I think we could get this and the other thing. So let's get the mainsail. Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, good. We can't get to the solar panel yet. But let's see what else we have. So here is the decouplers and different things. One thing we didn't get is the decouplers that stick out a lot. Where are those? These guys. So a couple different decouplers and attachments. This is another thing where you can have those modules, which we don't have yet. So that might be a worthwhile thing to get, actually. Let's go with, all right, what do we have here? So this is module thing we can't use because we don't have that adapter. I want better solar panels. Better battery pack is nice. So this is I think probably a bigger solar panel. I mean, I don't have the other one in front of me. So it's a large version of it. So it's bigger. I mean, I don't know if that's a huge advantage. I mean, I need that eventually to get to here, but do I want to grab it right now? I feel what I'll probably do is get a little bit more science, maybe off camera. Grab this, and maybe even this, so we can get the big solar panels. Grab this so we can get the components where we're able to attach on those different modules. Because some of the stuff you get has to go into these that we don't have yet. So those two things, and then I feel like we might start playing around with docking, possibly. So this is the junior one. I think that we already have, somewhere in here, I think we already have one where we're able to dock, you know, larger docking stuff. So docking two ships together. So I think what we'll do is we'll grab this one right now. I'll come back later on, after it runs for a little bit, grab this one, and grab this. So we need to get 900, I'm sorry, 390, and then I can grab those two sciences. And then we have lots of options. Let's play around.